Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing how to transform your emotions. I'm going to share this in a minute. If you're new here, my name is Meghan LeVota and I offer wisdom, tools, and support for personality integration. There's a lot going on in the collective. I haven't felt inspired to do my videos in the same way that I have. Let me just share this and then I will get to the point shortly. Thank you so much if you're watching the replay. Say hello if you are here, and I will get to the point in just a minute. I'm so grateful that you're here. Hello. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Perry. I'm so glad that you guys are here. All right. So what I have been thinking about lately is that I think that a lot of people, they think of their emotions as an aspect of themselves that they cannot change. However, if you look at yourself, look at the opposing binary poles within yourself, and you have, your emotional self, and then you have your mental self. I would say that most people agree that you can change your mind about something, right? You can improve your intelligence. You can choose to think about something differently, correct? That's definitely possible. It's also possible for your mind to hold you back and for your mind to get stuck to limiting beliefs and not change. You can have a closed mind. But I would say that most people probably agree that it is possible to change your mind, but I've found that it seems to be less likely for people to be open to the idea that you can kind of do the same thing with your emotions. Your emotions are not like this aspect of you that is never going to change, that you have to learn to cope with. You have to learn to ignore. You have to learn to pretty much make it happy, keep it at bay. A lot of people do treat their emotions that way. When if you do that, then that is akin to having a closed mind that you're unwilling to change. We need to be willing to, I guess, transform ourselves by alchemizing these opposites, integrating them. And that's my, I guess, thesis statement for really my channel right now, is that I'm very interested in the idea of integrating these polarities, the extroversion, the introversion, the thinking and the feeling, the sensing and the intuition, the judging and the perceiving. That's just some examples of polarities. You can also think about like love and fear. You can think about shadow and light. There's a lot that this is all related. And I'm realizing that the reason why a lot of people feel stuck in their emotional state is because they don't know how to transform your emotional state. So I'm going to be talking about that in this video. And if you happen to have any questions or anything that is what I'm saying makes sense, or is there anything that is confusing to you? Because I wanted to make this live because I want to make sure that I'm not like going on a tangent and explaining something that people already understand. But I also want to like get at the pieces that are difficult to understand. So, because I do think that now is a time collectively for us to really assess our emotions, figure out what matters to us, really, aside from like in an intrinsic way. aside from the expected external results. And when we can really understand what matters to us and how our emotional selves work in an intrinsic way, then we can gain a certain level of control over our emotions that you're unable to do without that understanding. And if you have that understanding, then you can become open in a similar way to how your mind can become open and allow more information and more conclusions. And an open mind and an open heart are, in my opinion, required for finding these universal truths. You have to be open. If you're closed, you aren't allowing the information in. And allowing the information in is the first step to transforming your situation and how you are assessing your situation, your thoughts and your emotions and your monologue about the situation. Okay, now I'm going to check out some comments. Oh, hi. Hi, Jamie. Jamie says, integration is everything. I need a how-to guide for this. That's awesome. I definitely, and then hi, I'm in. If anyone does have any questions while I'm talking, please feel free to ask. But pretty much that is what I want to be just rambling about right now, is this aspect of transforming. And this is kind of a work in progress. I just wanted to start the conversation. But yeah. Hello. Sorry. I've been a little bit out of it lately. I don't know about you guys. I have been like having this feeling where I know that I need to journal and I know that I need to let something out. And then when I do, I just sense this sort of resistance, like in my heart, where it's like I know that I need to open that. So I'm going through this too, as far as like transforming my emotions, transforming any fear that exists. And I guess really the most important thing I want to say is that we shouldn't be afraid of bringing those things to light. And I'm glad that we have Jamie as an ISFJ here. If you're still watching, if you can help me with this, in the sense that I feel like I know how to explain this stuff in an intuitive way, but it is a challenge for me whenever I'm just thinking about something to know how to describe it in like a tangible way and give an example. But when I say bring to light, I want to know, if you're watching, what does that mean to you when I say bring to light? Because whenever I say that these emotions, that we should bring them to light, what I'm talking about is that I think that collectively it's almost like we have relegated these emotions to be bad and something that is messy, something that we don't know how to figure out. Even feelers have been, programmed to, or are susceptible to believing this. Is emotions are messy. They are difficult to control. They aren't linear. They're like cyclical, right? And if you're a woman, you know that if you're a woman, you understand the cyclical nature of life just a little bit more, because your emotions do go in cycles. That's just how it works for everyone, but women have that reminder when they have their periods. Not to be gross about that, but that shouldn't be a gross thing to say either, because that's just natural. And emotions are just natural, and cycles are natural. And we have been removed from our ability to understand those cycles and to understand that how to accept cyclical things. We expect things to grow in this linear way, just like going up. We expect it to go that way. And every time something dips, we think that that's a problem. And right now in society, we are at this tipping point, and there has been other tipping points for humans. This isn't the first time that we as a species have come to a head where it's like, what do we value? What matters to us? What do we want to invest in? What do we want our future to look like? And the only way we're going to be able to go forward is if each individual can do that work within themselves. And that's what this transforming your emotions thing is all about, is that for most of us, if you're lucky, you get to be alone and you have more alone time than maybe you are used to. And, you know, for those of us who don't have the privilege to be able to spend a lot of time at home, even those people are facing a crossroads in their lives. We're all facing some sort of crossroads. It's impossible to detach from that collective emotion. We're all experiencing the collective emotion in our own unique way. But it is still the collective in nature. It's a collective experience that we're going through. And I think like that we're being invited to dive deeper into our emotions even more, because it's almost impossible to ignore. We all hide from our emotions by distracting ourselves with TV, with going out and drinking, with seeing friends and family, with work, with changes of scenery, which those things aren't bad. Like, those things make life exciting. I really miss it. But it's almost impossible to ignore your emotions whenever there's no distraction. And that's a problem. If the only way that we know how to cope is to ignore our emotions, then that's a major problem. Because we shouldn't just be coping. We should be thriving with those emotions. Just as, you know, with the mind, you shouldn't just keep it so closed that you have to reference a dictionary or reference a book for every single thing because you don't trust yourself to think on your own. So that would be like, if you don't trust yourself, you just shove all of your emotions down. If you don't trust yourself mentally, you might shove all of your critical thinking away, and you might not really use your brain and just instead allow yourself to be controlled by some sort of authority, religious authority, political authority, an authority in your job, whatever. We all agree that that's really bad. If we forget how to critically think, then we aren't thinking for ourselves. Then collectively, as a species, we're getting dumber and dumber. And we aren't using that muscle, and it allows people to be controlled and all that. The same thing happens with your emotion. If we numb them and if we shove them down, and if we don't gain control, then we're literally we aren't even just coping. We're getting, just as you would get dumber the less you use your critical thinking, we are losing our empathy when we do that. When we believe that we don't have the control in order to handle our own emotions, then we buy into that lie and that limiting belief that, you know, that there's something wrong with what you're feeling, that there's something wrong with the cycles, and that there's something wrong with the fact that emotions aren't linear. When you look at nature, there is linear aspects and there is cyclical aspects, and you have both of those aspects within you. And, you know, because of the fact that we currently do live in a patriarchal society, which means that our social norms are based on the idea that, you know, men wrote the laws, masculine energy like made a lot of the rules that we live in. And I do see that things are progressing and becoming more equal, but our value system as a collective is just a little bit wonky in the sense that we don't think about the ways that these cyclical aspects matter. They're natural. We almost treat them as though they're not natural. The same way as whenever I mentioned periods earlier and I was like, oh, I'm sorry that that's gross. We have been systematically programmed to believe that that is not natural when it is. Or you can take it another step farther and say that we think that what's natural is gross, or we're afraid of what's natural. What comes to mind is that sort of archetype of how femininity and emotions and that cyclical aspect that we all have. I'm not talking just women, and I'm not like talking about gender as though it exists on a binary. I'm talking about these two poles that we all have, no matter what your gender identity, we all have that within ourselves. It's this aspect of what is wild. Nature is wild. There is this uncertainty. There's this messiness. And you cannot control it with this linear logical mind, not because there's anything wrong with your logic or with the mental side. It's just that the two things work differently. Just as you cannot make logical decisions by asking yourself how you feel, you cannot make decisions, ethical decisions, in a way, either ethical decisions or deciding what matters to you. You cannot make those decisions in the same way that you would, because it's not always linear. It is messy. There's lots of different aspects. You can't just plug in your emotions into an algorithm. The problem here is that we collectively have shoved down our emotions that we don't realize that we're dealing with two different types of tools. We don't know what tools to use when and for what, because most of us are only focusing on one half of the equation. And, that's why integration is important. And in order to transform this, I made a video before about how to, make the unconscious conscious, how to shine a light on your unconscious. When you do that, when you observe, there's a power in your observation, in the sense that your observation in and of itself naturally brings things to light within you, within your consciousness, and then just simply the awareness of both is what can alchemize the two things together and transform you. It is not as difficult as it seems. The difficult part is being willing. If you are willing, then literally by becoming conscious of both and being willing to become conscious, life will take you on a journey and show you. If you are willing, then it will become revealed. It will. There's nothing you have to do. And that's what I think is so confusing for people, is that people are not willing because they think that they don't know what to do, when really the problem is on becoming willing. The hard part is becoming willing to transform. If you're willing to transform, surrender, become aware of the different aspects, and then watch. Just watch yourself. It feels like a miracle. It feels magical. And it is. I'm going to look at the comments now. Thank you, Jenna. I really appreciate that so much. You're doing such a great job explaining everything, Megan. Just so you know, this is amazing. Thank you so much. I am honestly pretty insecure that I'm not making sense. So I appreciate that. And Matt, yes. I think I might know who Bryant Chambers is, but I can't recall. But I'd be happy to have any sort of interesting conversation. Is that, now you guys tell me if I'm wrong, is that like an ESTP that's on YouTube? Because I think I might have watched one of his videos, but I might be mistaking that name for someone else. Anyway, one of my good friends told me the other day that she believes that I have the power to see through people's mental illusions, but that my problem is that I don't know how to pinpoint exactly what the illusion is because I'm seeing through it. And I thought that was really interesting because it explains how, like, I might feel like I can see through something, but then I don't know necessarily what to do to, like, fix it because it feels like an unknown. It feels like I don't know what it is that is the problem. It's like I'm seeing through whatever is keeping people stuck, which makes me frustrated. Yet also, if I can't see it, then I can't really point to it or anything. I don't know if that makes sense or if any of you guys listening relate to that at all. It might have to do with NI. I'm not sure. But I also think that whether you're an NI user or not, everyone has their own personal way of how their wisdom works and how their intuition works. Just as two different TI users might come to different logical conclusions, two different NI users might have different ways in which their intuition operates. What I'm really challenging myself to do right now, like on this video and on my last video, is that I have felt that I've been holding myself back in the sense that I feel more comfortable regurgitating information that I've read because I want people to trust that I know what I'm talking about. And I want to prove that I have done my research. But the problem is that I feel like I have been experiencing my own understandings that come to me from things that I haven't read. And for so long, I've been afraid to talk about that because I felt like I wasn't ready. And honestly, like this whole coronavirus thing, whatever you want to call it, I never know like if it makes more sense to be like global health crisis or everyone being quarantined or whatever it is. It's the whole thing. What I have been thinking about as far as what matters to me is that life is too short for me to hold anything back. And I feel like I've realized that multiple times in the past. But again, there's so many levels to it, which kind of goes back to what I was saying about emotions being cyclical, is that you're never going to like get there. Like I can continuously experience new phases of coming into myself and recognizing my innate expertise, which everybody has something that is an innate genius within them. And it's different for you than it is for me. It's different for everyone. And it's magical to allow yourself to discover that and trust that. And I think, I just sort of using me here as an example of some emotions that I've transformed is that for so long, like I've been afraid of people misreading me, taking my confidence as entitlement or arrogance. And the reality is, everybody deserves to be confident. Not only that, but it's crucial for society for each one of us to empower ourselves. Now, we need to get our power back. You need to get your power back. And so do you and you and you. And I need to get my power back. We all are getting our powers back. And it's not this game of lack. There's not this zero-sum game where either I win it all or you win it all. It's not, we cannot be playing these games with each other anymore. Me taking a slice of the pie is not taking anything away from you, and vice versa. And it is this scarcity mindset that keeps people mad, jealous, angry when people are confident. And I struggle with confidence. Everybody does. The goal should be for us all to become even more empowered. Because the thing is that the only way that these oppressive systems in society even work are because it's what we think that we deserve. I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm going to leave some of the details out because I don't really want to get that into it. But I was accepted to speak at this event. And it was pretty prestigious. And I was really excited about it. However, it was very expensive in order to attend. When I was doing the math in my head, I was thinking, this is how much it would cost to go, and this is how much it would cost to get a hotel, and then this is how much time it would take for me to do the preparation to where I could speak. And this is what I could potentially get from doing that thing. And I do the math, and it doesn't make sense to go. And the thing is that if I did not believe in my value, if I did not believe in my power, then I probably would not have done the math correctly, because I would have been so desperate for attention and validation that I would have said yes, because I would have thought that it was somebody else's job to tell me that I deserve. I would have thought that it was some organization's job to say, you are worthy. We're giving you this stamp of approval. But the thing is that when you know your own power, you don't need a stamp of approval. You do your own math based on your own value, and you figure out what makes sense. And whenever I decided to say no, I cried and cried for like 2 days, because I realized that if I wouldn't have done the inner work to love myself the way that I do now, then I would have said yes, and I would have been out of money. Like, I would have been out of a lot of money. And that's just one example of how our economic system in many ways depends on us feeling powerless. I've been seeing people, like, especially in the who work in the service industry, sharing things about, like, don't let capitalism kill you. And I'm thinking about how, like, restaurants couldn't survive. So many restaurants couldn't survive if it wasn't for the fact that they are allowed to pay people $2, like, pay waitresses like $2 an hour plus tips. For many people, their business would literally crumble if they had to pay more. And the thing is that there's so little options. There's so much lack in society that people end up saying yes to deals because it's the best that they can do. People say yes to jobs and opportunities because it's better than nothing. And the more that we all individually empower ourselves and go after what we deserve and ask for more, then that is the element that will transform everything. And it will transform your life if you get really clear about what you want out of life and what you deserve. And honestly, like, I'm starting to really believe that manipulation is kind of the norm. Like, I don't know if there's a person on the planet who hasn't been, like, emotionally manipulated in some way, in the sense that, like, even if it was your your parents who meant well, who told you to shut up and sit down when you were a kid, when you were really excited about something. Now, I'm not trying to say your parents suck, but I'm just saying that everyone has some sort of experience of like feeling like shut down or told that their value is less than what it really is. And all right, I'm going to go check on the comments because I've been kind of talking a while. Hey, sorry guys. I didn't even realize that the mic was coming out of here. I thought that it was coming out of here. That sound. Does that sound a little bit better? I'm really sorry about that. I'm probably going to wrap this up soon, but can you guys hear me? Okay. So Matt says, as an INFJ, I can see everyone else's emotions and patterns, but struggle to see my own. I'm the same way. Well, I'm learning that. But what I've found is really helpful for FE users in particular is allowing yourself to see everyone as like a mirror and almost like a metaphor for your own emotions, and asking yourself whenever you see someone else's pattern, like, okay, to what extent do I do this? And I think for FE especially, it's healthy to not really see yourself as separate and to look at us as this collective and realizing like, okay, this is a problem in the collective. To what extent is this a problem within me? And then, working on that, because I think that we tend to attract lessons that are meant for us. And so if you notice anything popping up a lot, especially with your close loved ones and friends, then that could definitely be something to look into. Yeah, Jamie says, innate genius and everyone is sweet. Thanks for saying that. I think that it's important to note that, and I think that also knowing this, it allows you to not feel jealous or intimidated by people, even if you view celebrities or someone who like has your dream career and stuff like that. I think that if you recognize that everybody has their own innate genius, then it eradicates jealousy and comparison, and it's not needed, because it's like, if I try and do the best at what only I can do, and if you try and do the best at what only you could do, then we're all allowing ourselves to just bloom into these wonderful flowers, which currently, if we don't believe our value, if we don't believe our genius, then we say yes to deals that screw us over, and we allow like the system to profit off of us. We're wilting. I know I'm kind of sprinkling in some of my democratic socialism in this. It's not even that capitalism is the problem. I'm not even really trying to talk about politics here. Capitalism currently is a problem, in my opinion, but it's not even like the system itself. It's like the way that it's being enacted, and it's like our value system and how we're using it that is more of a problem. Like, I'm not like saying capitalism sucks all the time. Like, it is possible for conscious capitalism, but it's like the root of all of this is when we are completely shoving our emotions down and we don't know how to use the tools in order to understand the emotions. They bleed into everything. They bleed into our value system. We decide things with numbers. We think that it makes sense when we don't even realize that we accidentally said yes to something that doesn't matter, or we accidentally spent 5 hours talking about something that doesn't matter. And I think that all of us right now are thinking about what matters, and just the fact that there's an increased likelihood that one of your loved ones could get sick is making everyone really, really remember what matters, and it's people. And it always has been. It's really hard for everyone, even introverts, to feel super disconnected from people. We all want to belong in some form. That's why we're all addicted to social media. Even people that like claim to hate social media, like, will be on it all the time, or even people that hate, like, say that they want more alone time now that they have it. I don't know. It depends. Every single person's different. So I'm trying to make sure I'm not doing too many sweeping statements here. Just like explaining the, I could, thanks, Jamie. You could transform half the video into quaint wall signs that empower. Yeah, seriously, the mind of, I've noticed a lot of NFJs, I don't know if NTJs relate, but like the NI sort of, I think it just comes out cheesy. Like, it feels profound as an experience or as a thought, but then it comes out cheesy when I say it. Perry says, yeah, it's NI. It's like, you know that there's something off, but you can't rationalize it because you don't have concrete proof. At that point, you just choose to trust the feeling or wait for the proof. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that was about how you can see through an illusion in a way. And it's like, it's more so just like not picking up. Like, my detector doesn't even pick up the things that don't have this sort of life essence in them. Okay. So I just want to say something. So Perry says, capitalism sucks. You could say it, sis. And I do agree. But then also, John over here says, I don't agree capitalism sucks. Capitalism is great, and it's the world's the best it's ever been. I do think that there is a potential for conscious, ethical capitalism to exist. I don't think that it exists everywhere yet. I've seen it exist in little factions of the world. It's not accessible for everyone, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm sorry, I totally slipped up on my words there. So, for example, I think that for really privileged people, it can exist, and you can start this startup and have like the coolest values ever, and like hire your best friends and make a lot of money, and it could be amazing. And I don't think, like, I guess I'm saying that the way it is now, capitalism sucks. I agree that it might be better than other things. It's better than like a monarchy, probably. So, yeah. Anyway. So many paradoxes. Okay. So, your chill ISFJ says, how do you feel about settling on something? As in, this is the best I can do, sadly. I'm assuming that's something that you would want to avoid. I'm curious your thoughts on that. That is a really good question, because I do think that as we transform, so one of the things that we all can do to transform is to understand our innate genius and our innate power, and to ask ourselves what we really want. Now, that is how to transform, but the transformation process can take a minute for things to manifest and for things to ground. So yes, there is a place for saying yes to things that are good enough for now. But I think that the key is that if you are saying yes to something and you know that it's not like what you really, really want, or like what you really, really value, you have to have the understanding that it is temporary. You have to plan on eventually blooming, or else what can happen is you can find yourself trapped in situations that don't serve you, or you can find yourself projecting onto that situation and hoping that it's better than it is. For example, maybe you went to school for journalism. I know some friends of mine out there, including me, have done this. And let's say that all you want is a job in writing. And if you really think about your power and what you want, and you think, I want a job in writing. That's it. Then the first time you get a job in writing, maybe, actually, I'll just say this is what happened to me. I got a job in writing and I was offered $10 an hour. And I was like, oh my goodness, I got a job with my degree. This is my dream job. And I projected onto it. I was like, this is amazing. This is my dream job. This is my purpose. And didn't pay the bills. Didn't work. I was overworking myself. I was never eating out, like, which is fine. I mean, you can't afford it. But like, I was like saying no to seeing friends who just wanted to go grab a cup of coffee. Like I was working like 60-hour weeks. This is like my first job, so I didn't really know, but I thought that that was the best I could do. And when you think that something is the best that you can do, then that's where your perception halts. You need to take your perception and extend it outward so that you can say, this is a good temporary thing, but I plan to move. I plan to grow. And if you know that you plan to grow, then it makes you a lot happier where you are too. For example, like I'm working a job that I know isn't forever, and it makes me appreciate what I'm learning because I'm not making the mistake of assuming that it's all I can do. So that is just a simple sort of mindset shift where you can sort of transform your emotions about something in the sense that through allowing yourself to go dive into that messiness and the cyclical nature of your emotions and understand it more, then you can understand even deeper what you want so that when you do make decisions, sometimes you do have to choose between the lesser of two evils or from the best option that is there, because sometimes time is of the essence and you can't just wait. Like you're applying for jobs, you need something now. But if you look at it as a journey and you extend your perception outward toward the future, then you can it allows you to actually be more grateful because you can think of this as this is just a stepping stone. You might call that wishful thinking, but I think that that thinking is what is required for your wishes to come true. So I think that people that call that wishful thinking are people that don't plan on their wishes to come true. They don't plan on it, and they haven't created a strategy for creating miracles or for their dreams to come true, which every event, every outcome needs. I don't believe that happy experiences just land on your lap. I think that I think that you plant the seeds and you water them. And your mindset is one way to do that. If I expect and I'm planning on getting somewhere and I do all the actions as though I'm going to get there, then that's how you get there, with emotions or with logic. So hopefully that makes sense. And I guess that's sort of just the nuance on settling is that you can say yes to things and do things for now as long as you know what it really means to you. And I think that the real struggle with that is when you lie to yourself. So, okay. So Matt says, if you don't know your value, especially if you've been devalued your whole life, you will take worse deals than you deserve in every aspect of life. That is absolutely true. I think that there are some people that have felt way more devalued than others, that's for sure. But what I've really been realizing lately that I believe is I think that all humans have been devalued in a way, and that it's like time for us to evolve. I don't know if you guys are feeling that too, but like there's the obvious that people who, experienced like trauma growing up, had bad parents, and come from broken homes. Obviously, those people feel very devalued. And, or you can think of people that struggle with depression or anxiety might feel very devalued and like might need to go to therapy to work through some traumas. I guess what I'm realizing though is that the amount to which you feel devalued depends on you, depends on your past experiences, which you can't control, and your mindset, which you can control. But also, I think collectively, all of us, it's time for all of us to understand our power and our values, and our inherent value even more. And in doing that, we can unplug from these systems that require us to be devalued for it to even work. Like, if everyone just stopped accepting like minimum wage jobs, which obviously for many people, that is what you need to do for the time being. I'm just saying, like, if everybody stopped, or maybe let's talk about relationships here. If everybody stopped accepting love from someone that didn't deserve them, then what would that do? Like, what would it do if everybody valued themselves enough? People wouldn't be able to manipulate you. You would be too powerful. Manipulative, oppressive systems wouldn't work if each individual is able to unplug from all of those people that they have given their control to. So, all right. So, I am going to end that there. I talked a little bit, I talked just a little bit longer than I meant to. And for those of you who are new, I talked a little bit at the beginning of what this video is all about. If you have any questions that come up or any other conversation topics, let me know. I'm kind of revamping things right now in terms of like my mentorship. I'm going to be turning that into like a group thing instead of a one-on-one thing for now. So I'll have that information down there soon. But if you, after watching this video, are feeling like you want to chat further on a deeper level, you can feel free to sign up for the mentorship thing that is in the link below, and I will contact you whenever I come up with this group thing. Really, I just need to figure out my verbiage for how I want to talk about these things, and I also just need to figure out what it costs and how to accept. Like, it's just as simple as, does PayPal do this or not? So, that's just me figuring out the logistics last minute, because that's no fun. Thank you guys for watching, and I really, really appreciate it.